Hi everyone, this is Ann Elliott from homeschoolingtorah.com, and today in this video I'm going to show you how we set up our notebooks and our crates for school. And I just want you to keep in mind as I talk today that this is how we do it at our house. You do not have to do it our way, okay? I want you to repeat that to yourself. You do not have to do it the way the Elliots do it. I get myself in a rut, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of the new and creative ways that you guys do things. Now, it's kind of a big production when I set up our new school year. I put my notebook, you can see it down here at the bottom of the screen at the end of the table, and then I put all my children's notebooks all over the tables. Now, down on one end of the room, we have our school crates, which is where we store each child's notebooks, their school books, and some of their school supplies. You can see a close-up of some of the crates here. Over here on the shelf, I've got a stack of new notebook paper, lots of dividers that we bought at the store, all the things we need to put our notebooks together. Okay, so I've cleaned out my notebook from last year, and it's ready to be filled again. The front pockets of my notebooks have odds and ends in them, and I'm sure yours will fill up with miscellaneous junk too. I'm a big fan of sticky notes, and throughout a day I'll write reminder notes to myself and stick them all right here. Okay, in the front of my notebook is my Together School Planner. Now you can print one of these under the Download Center under Planning Forms. This is a page that you'll probably use a lot when you're setting up everything. Of course, you should customize yours to fit your family. Do not just copy mine. Get mine as an example if you'd like, but otherwise make yours fit your family. Now, I'm the type of person who enjoys checking off check boxes each day. You probably already figured that out. Now, if I print off one of these lists each week, and then if I file it away in a drawer at the end of the week, I have a record of all our schoolwork, which would come in handy if I ever needed to prove that we're obeying our state's homeschooling laws. Now, this list also has my schedule on it. You can see it if you look close at yours. 8:30, we read the Torah portion, and this is around the table after breakfast. 9 o'clock, the chores for the big kids, while the little ones come and do letters and phonics with me. At 10 o'clock, we do Together School, and so on. And I want you to know that these are just target times. I do happen to have clocks in every room of my house, and I can see them from several different angles when we're doing school, but I don't necessarily stick to the clock very tightly. If we had a late night the day before and we get started late, it is not a big deal. Or if all the kids have the giggles one day, you know what I'm talking about. Or everyone is grumpy, maybe even me, and no one can pay attention, I can assure you these times don't work. We just do the next thing on the list no matter what time it is. However, I do appreciate knowing what the ideal is, and I thought you would appreciate seeing how long I expect things to take on a perfect day. Okay, I refer to this Together School Planner constantly. It is the most used page in my entire notebook, and for today, you will be looking at it a lot to help you remember everything you want to put into your notebook. So in the Download Center, in the Planning Forms section, I've given you a version that you can customize for your family, which you should do. Now, how do you know what to put on it? Well, first of all, don't be afraid to change it every week if you need to. It's just a form, just a tool. It's not your boss. But you can start by making a list of every subject that you feel that Yahweh is leading you to teach your children this year. And actually, you're going to make several lists. One for the subjects that you teach your children at one time, and another for subjects that you need to teach each child individually. And then you're going to make a list of each child's name and write down the subjects that they can do mostly on their own. And it's going to look different for your family because your kids are at different ages and grades than mine are. I really advise you to talk to your husband and be sure to get his input on this list. You know, take several days for this and allow your emotions to cool and your hormones to do their thing. And then once you have a solid list of subjects that you've prayed over and you've talked to your husband about, now you can think about your schedule. Now, when I'm making a schedule, I start with what's already on my schedule, the things that are already consistent in our days, so we don't have to turn everything up, on its end. I like to just stick with what's already a habit for us and then build on that. For instance, start with your husband. What time does he leave for work and come home each day? Now, mine works at home, but he still has a schedule he has to stick with. And then think about your meals and your sleep schedule. Your body's quite used to those things. Do you have babies or little ones? I would think about their needs next. It's a lot easier on them when their days are predictable and follow some sort of routine, and it allows them to just relax because they know what's next. And it calms down a lot of their low-level anxiety that I'm sure you have seen happens at the beginning of every school year. Older children, teenagers, and adults, we can adjust what time of day we do things, math, science, reading, and all that. But little ones, they have a harder time adjusting. So I personally think you should consider their needs right after your husband's, and especially consider the levels of noise in your house, how often they're going to get snacks and meals, when their naps are, and that they don't feel completely neglected as you do school with the older ones. Now, I don't have any babies in the house at this time, so my schedule reflects that. But if I did, quite a bit of this together school would be done while I was nursing a baby or during nap times. And I promise it would look a lot different. And that's why I want to emphasize you need to customize this for your family and your home. Okay, once you've gotten these things into your schedule, or at least some sort of a framework for your day, now you can plug in your older children's school subjects. And think about your own energy levels. I start to wear out after a while. I'm sure you do too. And when you're tired, you're going to be more bothered by normal giggling or by questions about math. So again, as you do school for a few weeks, feel free to adjust the schedule around and further customize it. For today, once you have a list of all the subjects that you'll do together, and then the subjects that you'll do individually, and your children will then do on their own, you can use it to compile your notebooks. Okay, after my Together School Planner, I have several pages of calendars, and these just help me see when school breaks and holidays are. The second calendar here in my notebook is my attendance calendar. I just mark each day that we do school, and sometimes my oldest daughter, she's 14, will take care of this job for me. Then I have our local school districts calendars, and behind that is a copy of the homeschooling laws for Wisconsin. That's where we live, and it's printed from Homeschool Legal Defense. And I have a copy of the record keeping that I'm required to file with our district. And finally, I have copies of my high school students' transcripts. Now, after that, you'll see a few sheets of notebook paper, and they're just stuck there for more places to write lists and ideas. I'm going through this awfully quickly. I hope you realize that it took a long time to actually put it all in the notebook. Okay, the first tab in my notebook says checklists. You can download these checklists online in the Download Center, again, under the planning forms. And I make one of these checklists for each student. And this list goes into his or her notebook at the very front for him to refer to each day to be sure he's done his independent assignments. There's my oldest son. Here's one for my 14-year-old Caitlin. And, well, then here it is in her notebook. Now, I have a copy of all 6 of my children's checklists in my notebook in one spot so that I will remember what each child is supposed to be doing on their own that day. This is not stuff I usually do with them. Later in the day when they come to me and they ask if they can get some, can I go do something, and I say, well, are you all done with your schoolwork? I can then flip open this list and go through it with them and hold them accountable. Now, Scripture says, a child left to himself brings his mother to shame. And I have found this verse to be true time and time again, to my shame. So these lists help me remember all of my good intentions, and they keep me accountable so that I can actually check up on my kids. Of course, they're very handy today when setting up my notebook. They'll help me make sure that I've gotten everything into their notebook so that they'll actually be able to do the schoolwork that I've assigned to them. Okay, we're ready to start printing a lot of things. I want to emphasize that you should read each subject's introduction page before you start printing. Those are available under the Teacher Helps tab on your membership site, and you can scroll down and see all of the introductions. These pages are going to come in handy, especially at the beginning of the school year as you're getting used to the curriculum. Okay, now the first tab after my checklist is preschool because I have a 3-year-old son, so I'm using preschool with him this year. And I printed the first week, but I need to tell you my secret for saving ink. I am not planning to print all of these every week. I'm planning to upload the rest of the preschool plans to my Kindle this year. In fact, I'm planning to upload all of the following subjects to my Kindle each week rather than printing all of this out. And it's going to save gallons of ink as well as room in my notebook. I put on my Kindle my preschool, our Together School, my history, that's what's on the screen right here, Phonics 1, The Phonics 2 readers, I can sit with my Kindle with my daughter and she can read them right off of there. Writing, math drills, my math teacher's manuals, oral language that we do during lunch, science for after lunch, and I put PE on there, and sometimes I use that, and sometimes I use a printed one. So my Kindle is my way to save ink. Now, because I do phonics with my 6 and my 8-year-old next, while they are still fresh, I do first the 6-year-old and then the 8-year-old, the next section of my notebook has a few things that I want to keep handy for phonics. And by the way, my older children finish up their chores during this time, but it doesn't take them the whole time. Some of them go and play with Alistair, my little 3-year-old, and the rest of them just arrive at the table and start in on their own subjects, usually math, while waiting for me to get ready for Together School Time. Okay, now you can see on the screen a sequence chart for Phonics 1 right here, and this is for Casey, my 6-year-old. And then my 8-year-old, I have inside my notebook a cursive writing thing because she needs some help with her cursive handwriting. So I'm doing the shortcut to cursive lessons with her that are at the beginning, at the beginning of the school year. So here's some notes for that, and behind there is a progress chart. And everything else I need for phonics is on my Kindle. As I think about phonics, I go over to the side of the table where their notebooks are, and I go ahead and I print out their worksheets for both of the girls. And there's Phonics 2, and I go ahead and punch holes in them and get them into their notebooks. Okay, next is a tab for Together School in my notebook. Now, I printed the first week here, and as we go through the year, I probably will add some of my personal Hebrew worksheets here. That's just for me. I need more practice on Hebrew than the other people do in my family, I'm frustrated to say, so I'm planning to put all of my study tools right here. My husband and kids took some Hebrew classes at our congregation this last spring, but I stayed home with the little ones, and I am just super rusty. But otherwise, everything for Together School is going on my Kindle. Okay, my world history lessons are next. They are on my Kindle, so I don't have anything for that in my notebook here. I do have grammar in the notebook because I already had it printed out from a previous year, but I bet I could have put that on my Kindle too. I did print the student worksheets now for grammar, and I've gone around and I've put them into my older students' notebooks. Now just my 4 older students do grammar. And then writing is on my Kindle, but I printed out 1 copy of the writing worksheets and put that into a 3-prong folder, and they can share. I didn't figure my 4 older students each needed their own writing instruction thing. They can just share, save ink. And next is spelling, and it's kind of the same idea. I printed the teacher guide for these because I might delegate this subject to my oldest son, Eric. He's in 12th grade, and when I'm delegating, I don't necessarily want to share my Kindle with him. So I printed the spelling things for each level and placed them into another 3-prong folder, and the kids can share it. And then I also printed out typing, just 1, even though I have many children doing it. I just printed 1, and they can take their turns.